income and inclusion. How economic profiles shape player behavior.
Hi everyone, welcome to Sigma Africa 2025. I've got an interesting panel here with two esteemed guests. We've got Dr. Fredrick Mbasi. He's the Deputy Director, Betting Control and Licensing Board of Kenya. And we've got the Honorable Weldon Koros, Director, Association of Gaming Regulators in Africa. I just want to kick this off with a layup question for you. Could you please give us a little bit more detail about your background and gaming in Africa, Fred?
Oh, thank you. As you have heard, my name is Dr. Fredrick Mbasi. I'm the Deputy CEO, the Kenyan Gambling Regulator, the Betting Control Board. I'm pleased to be here on the invitation of the organizers of this event. Thank you.
Weldon, how about
Okay, thank you. My name is Weldon Koros. I'm the Director, Association of Gaming Regulators, Africa. It's an organization that seeks to bring together gambling regulators across Africa. Thank you.
Okay, first up, we'd like to discuss how income levels impact betting patterns in Africa. And my opening question for Fred here is, in Kenya and much of Africa, a large portion of the population falls into the lower income bracket, wage bracket. And the data suggests that this drives betting patterns towards micro betting, small stakes, high frequency. Can you tell us how you've seen this play out in the Kenyan market?
As the other participants who have appeared here before, they have told you that the African gaming market expanding. But when you look as a regulator at the market and who is playing, that you find that the majority of the players are from the lower income segment. These are the people who only hope is to play the emerging games, online games, and even in the casinos. They are the ones now who are enticed by gambling companies to participate endlessly in these activities. First, they don't have a lot of time, a lot of money. They bet with little bets, and due to emerging technologies, they participate in games which are almost instant. This is where now the regulator comes in. Maybe we can hear from Weldon as we proceed.
Weldon, also looking across Africa, are there any regional differences with how operators should note? Or is it a very similar pattern across the whole of Africa?
Okay, thank you. I think it's something that cuts across Africa, basically due to the high level of poverty, which is the same in almost all African countries. The only difference can be countries like South Africa that are more economically better than other countries. But basically, it's affordability issue is a problem across all African countries, which I can say is due to high levels of poverty. So you won't expect any difference irrespective of the country. If there is any difference, it will be a small margin of difference between each country in Africa. So it's pretty the same thing across.
Okay, it's pretty much very similar across the board, because just looking at, say, for example, Brazil as a comparison, another relatively third world country, you've started to see the emergence of a VIP high roller network building up there. Do you see, either of you see this as a possibility in pockets of Africa where there's high net worth VIP betting?
Okay.
Weldon?
let's- In Africa, there are VIP players, but what I can say is the number is a little bit lower as compared to Europe. Because here people gamble to put food on the table. A parent will place a stake and wait and look upon it as a source of supper for his or her kid. So when you look at the VIP players, it's a little bit, the number is a little bit lesser as compared to Europe.
Thank you. And Fred, do you have any?
Maybe I can add on the regulator side that the VIP customers are only found mostly in the land-based casinos, and the objectives basically is for entertainment. If they start gambling at that stage, but most of the VIP gamblers or players in the African market, they start when they are in the middle class, and when they proceed further to the high class, then they do it for entertainment, and some of them are chase losses. We have been told for many years that gambling is a legitimate consumer pursuit, but to most of the Africans, gambling is not for entertainment. It is for making money. You look at the objectives of the players, you look at the time they spend, you look at the bets and the losses they incur. That is when you differentiate the different types of customers, but mostly in Africa is the low-end customers who have been really been exploited by gaming companies.
Thank you. But then let's look at it from an operator's point of view. For example, in terms of affordability, we've spoken about it being a low-income region. For operators to succeed in these markets, should they also lower their minimum bets, or if you're looking at it from an operator's point of view, how do you succeed in this kind of market?
Now, from an operator point of view, if you were to impose affordability checks in Africa, basically in Africa people live with less than $1 a day, right?
Yes.
If you were to bring conversations of affordability checks in Africa, it means 98% of the population cannot afford to gamble. Because then if you place a minimum of $1 a day and people are living with less than $1 a day, then you lock everyone out.
Right.
So you will be left with no customers.
Yeah.
So what I know is that operators don't want the affordability checks conversations in Africa because they know the bracket of customers they are dealing with. So if you bring in the affordability discussion into Africa, which is non-existent at the moment, you lock out so many customers based on my experience.
That makes sense, yeah.
On the issue, what Weldon has said is that in Kenya, the National Parliament proposed a law where it limits the amount of bets. And where the Parliament is coming from is that the law is to protect the low-end populace from addiction. We were raising the minimum bets to, I think, maybe have $1, that is Kenya shillings 50. Although now maybe the industry has not appreciated what the government has done. As you know, is that when you leave the majority of the population to gamble without any control, you will have more effects on society, and it's so expensive for the government, to treat and do everything as it pertains to that.
Thank you. So moving on to education levels, and how it relates to betting behavior. In Africa, low education levels in some areas might lead bettors to rely more on on luck and intuition. In higher educated areas, bettors may be more inclined to rely on strategy and compete in more different types of bets. How do you see this in Africa, Weldon?
Personally, I think the literacy level in Africa is a little bit lower. And therefore, when they are placing bets, they tend to rely more on luck. There is a lack of education on their part. But I think from my experience generally, I think when it comes to gambling, education plays less of a role, even generally.
Okay.
How an uneducated person will place a bet is often more similar than even someone with a PhD. That is how I've come to learn over time.
Okay.
That even someone who has gone to school will play in a pattern that will make you wonder whether he really went to school. So I don't think education really plays a big role in terms of the betting pattern, especially when it comes to problem gamblers.
Right.
You find a lecturer, a university lecturer, who is a problem gambler, and yet the level of education that he or she has should be able to showcase, it should be able to help him or her know that what I'm dealing with is bringing me problems.
I understand. So from an operator's point of view, it actually makes no difference on the education level in terms of the games they offer.
Yeah, the only thing
Africa.
The only thing that I think education can play a role is maybe for someone to be able to know that I have played for a long time, maybe it's time to stop. But then in terms of strategy, how they play, it's the same all over. Unless there is a pattern, maybe Mbasi can point out that I don't know. But from my end, I think both the educated and uneducated tend to play more or less in the same pattern.
Gotcha. Okay. What do you think, Fred?
From the regulator's viewpoint and from my own experience is that for more complex games, maybe in the casinos, it requires some kind of aptitude, high aptitude, whereby maybe those ones who are educated, you can compute and calculate the bets. At least they normally stand a good point. But generally, education levels count on betting because most of the low-end punters, they have very low education, maybe secondary level, and sometimes they are unable to appreciate the dangers associated with gambling.
Okay, thank you. So, and in terms of education for players in Africa, are there any suggestions that you have for operators, such as perhaps gamification tools or education tools to teach people the dangers and not only the dangers, but also how to play? Or is that not necessary in Africa? Do you think, everyone knows what to do?
What I'll propose to operators, maybe when it comes to issues of maybe responsible gambling, you can tailor your messages to fit the local community before disseminating. When also marketing, you might tend to adopt local languages before sending over your message to the segment of your consumers. Because in Africa, we speak different languages. So I think for you to be able to be ahead of others, maybe you can tailor your marketing messages, responsible gambling messages, and maybe, I think the language is the key factor to that.
Anything to add there, Fred?
On the regulator's viewpoint is that the operators should adhere strictly on the regulators' messaging requirements, whereby all their types of communication with their players, they must put a responsible gaming message that gambling is addictive, gambling is overdone, is not safe, and it is for over 18. With that kind of message, even using their CSR activities to spread the message that gambling is a demerit good.
Thank you. At this point in time, just like to open the floor to any, if anyone has anything to ask. Nothing there? Thanks very much for your time, gentlemen. It was an interesting discussion.